Yep, we're rolling for yet another fragrance review, albeit this is a follow up from the two previous sample reviews. So, obviously, this will be the third and final part, hopefully. It can take a while because, again, I'm doing the initial smell, not going through the notes or as in depth as when I review the bottles. But a lot of the time, it's nice to sample some of the more expensive fragrances this way rather than and or clones, rather than committing to a whole bottle and then blind buying a bottle just based off of reviews. So with these, obviously, I can draw comparisons to one of the numerous or any of the numerous bottles behind me. But now and then I do these sample reviews just kind of so, for people out there, if they're interested. Obviously, when I upload the video, I'll put the the fragrance names on there, and obviously, if you're interested in one of those, you'll see it. And at some point in this video, I'll obviously go over it in as much detail as I can, but without making the video too long, which is a balancing act. So obviously I've already done two of these, so we're gonna just randomly pick of what's left, and then I'll go back over the notes as I find them. Obviously, there's quite a lot here. Where is this one? Okay, so this is called Kerosene Walk to Sea, and it's an EDP. So I have previously done a kerosene, the company kerosene review, and that was called Followed. It's either Followed You or Followed Me. It's a very, very strong coffee, dark, rich. If you really like coffee, it's probably like the best coffee, and ridiculous. And I will say beast mode, because the whole room, as soon as I sprayed that, it was super strong. So I was curious to see if this company, which is again a premium company, they're like 200 or 150, £200 bottles, which are classed as premium end. So yeah, just curious to see how this comes out. Um, so again, all of these fragrances I wore on the skin. I've made notes of how long they lasted. It would either be literally like I am today, a chill day in the house, or it would be going out, going to the gym, going to work, etc. So then I'd get to see the performance, be it, when I'm hot, when I'm cold, different environments, where you would wear it, and so on. So without further ado, we'll put two sprays on, or sorry, three sprays. That's kind of preempting this because, again, as I mentioned with the kerosene before, it was so strong that literally one spray of that, it filled the whole room. It was so overpowering that, again, if you really like coffee, yeah, I'd recommend it, but it was almost too strong. That can happen. I know some people like to say, I want fragrance that's really strong, blah, blah, blah. And generally speaking, you do. But when it's so powerful and lingering and almost overpowers everything else around you, obviously you're not going to be wearing something like that in the office, or you shouldn't be, if you're trying to be mindful and sort of subtle about things. But anyway, move on to this one finally. Very good sprayer on that one for whatever reason, but there you go. Generally they're okay. I've used this company a few times, but anyway. And also, you might hear it, I've got like, it's very hot in the UK at the moment. It's like humid as well, so I've got a fan on, so hopefully audio's fine. So straight off the bat, kind of like how I described with the coffee one being a coffee shop, very strong. This is beach vibe straight off the top, like sea salt, sun cream almost. I know like there might be a proper chemical term for what that smell is, but that's what I get straight off the top. Pleasant though, and different. But it, again, this company seems very, like, from my understanding, very targeted towards niche areas. So again, if you're looking for that sort of thing, obviously looking into that kerosene, they're called, the company name. But this is different. I'm not going to say it's bad. And in terms of performance, let's have a look. It was only 5 to 6 hours on my skin, this one, which was surprising because the kerosene followed by me, was like 10, 12 hour plus, and even then the remnants of it was still quite noticeable. But this is a softer, more subtle take on the beach sun cream, sea salt vibe. But that's what I get straight away. Again, some people might be a bit different. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to say it's anything special because it isn't. It's not. The performance isn't amazing. The smell profile is okay. It's quite a subtle, almost like I wouldn't. The weird thing is, even though, as I say, and describe it as a beach sort of smell and vibe, that's the environment. But usually when people say summertime or beach fragrances, tends to be very citrus heavy, tropical, fruity, that sort of thing. Because in high heat, a lot of these citrus notes are very fleeting and they can leave the skin quite quickly. But yeah, it's okay. I gave it a 7. In all honesty, now reviewing it, I would say look a 6.5 because it is nice, but it's nothing special. The performance is, I would say, below average. The smell profile, it's like I would personally rather recommend, like if it was me on the beach, like an Acqua di Gio, Versace Blue or Versace Eros, sorry, something that's a bit more potent to stay on you. And I'm not just saying on the beach, I'm even saying in the summer going out or even for a meal, just something a bit more about it, a bit different, but at the same time ticks the boxes for high heat. So not saying you can't wear this in the winter or the office, but it is what it is. I'm being honest. 6.5. Kerosene, walk the sea. And that kind of gives a clue in the title about, being a bit ozonic, beach / sea vibes. So yeah, walk the sea. I'll move on to the next one. Let's just put that away. So randomly pull out Killian Smoking Hot, or by Killian Smoking Hot, that's the company name. Just jumping the gun, this was so good that I bought a clone of it. So yeah, I won't, I'll try and keep this one short and sweet, but I really like this one. Again, the reason why I bought the clone is because the original of this is like £250, £290 on sale. I don't even think it was 100ml, it might have been 50, 60ml. So again, this is the premium end, but very different, very nice. Obviously, they're well known for Angel's Share. They do several others. I have obviously 2 clones or takes on Angel's Share. So that's my experience by Killian. They're a premium end, considered one of the better premium end companies. They have very strong fragrances. So this is another one. There we go. Yeah, already very strong. So bear with me. So straight away I get warmth and spice, smoke as well, the clue in the title, smoking hot. How I would describe this is like more winter time, going out, a meal. I picture being by like the fire or drinking brandy, steak meal, like that kind of scene. Dark clothes or wintry clothes, date night, that sort of thing. They're the images that come out. It's also got a sweetness element there. I'm not going to draw a comparison between this and the clone. I've worn the clone several times since this video. I'll do that in a separate review. But this was excellent. I really like the smell profile. It's quite different. I do tend to like dark, spicy, smoky, boozy fragrances. So this ticks all them boxes. In terms of performance, it's like a 6 to 8 hour, which is average, above average. Personally, it would have been nice if it lasted a little bit longer. But then again, without interjecting or going into the clone review, the clone actually lasts maybe 7 to 8 hours. So the performance on that is actually better than this in comparison. I've only wore this twice. I don't own the original bottle. So again, I'm not going to say that's a definitive, but that's how I see it in comparison to the clone, even though this smells slightly better than the clone. But we'll go through that in a separate video. So I gave this a 9 out of 10. Long story short, it is exactly what you'd want for winter time, date night, meal, getting dressed up, going out, even clubbing. And again, I don't want to say neat that, you know, the niche will get you attention, but it's quite different to a lot of what people wear. I'm not going to say other people don't wear this, but it's different enough that I personally would give it a 9 out of 10. The reason it doesn't get like a 10 out of 10 is purely based on the performance and the fact it is very expensive. But yeah, Killian, or by Killian, but they just write Killian. The company Killian, Smoking Hot. That was a nice surprise, because again, when you blind buy or sample something you've never smelt before and it's a premium and or expensive, you want it to be decent, you know. You don't just want it to, you know, be disappointing. Even worse if you blind buy a bottle, hence why these samples, you know, they come in handy. Smoking Hot, 9 out of 10. Okay, let's put that there. Just separate these, because again, I want them, or me getting confused what I've done, what I haven't. That's a very good one. Move on to the third. Roberto Cavalli Yumio Silver Essence, and it's an EDT. Now, I've done 2 reviews actually of the original Roberto Cavalli Yumio. The original was my favourite. That's discontinued now. It's an EDT but performs very well. The smell profile is excellent in my opinion. Sadly, it's discontinued, hence the price of them original bottles, and this is a this is a flanker of them, so they all come out together. There was a black bottle with a Yumio design, and from memory this is the silver one. I never got to smell it back in the day, and knowing how good or how much I like the Yumio original release, obviously this, I was, you know, I'm grateful that I get to try this. More recently from TK Maxx, which I think in America is TJ Maxx or whatever, it's done pronounced slightly different for whatever reason, same company though. They had a reformulation of the original. It's more black pepper, some slightly different notes. It had that kind of smell profile, but the performance wasn't as good in time. Obviously I put the review up and it was kind of like, because it smelt so much like the original, I might have overrated it, but I prefer the original. The reformulation is slightly weaker, the performance isn't there, but the smell profile is very similar. So it'll be interesting to see what this one's like. And as I say, it's an EDT. Let's see. So yeah, just putting it out there, EDT, anyway, it can be like an hour if it's really bad, to 2 to 3 maximum. It's like 4 to 6, which is a 3 to 4 from the notes I've made. It is what it is. Again, EDTs, they tend to be a bit cheaper. You can reapply them, you know, like put them in an atomizer and bring it with you and smash them on. It, you know, it is what it is. But the actual review I gave a 7 originally, so, and again, that's, you know, above average. So let's just rekindle the smell profile. I actually put 4 sprays on there, put a bit more on, and got a bit on my finger. Great. Luckily it smells quite nice, nothing worse than that when you get it on your hand. Like again, I'm putting these, I've worn these all on skin. I've not got enough arm space or anywhere else to spray all these, so yeah, very nice. Quite different than the original. The original kind of, it has this DNA. It's sort of like a sort of fresh cleanness, a manly masculineness about it, more based around like the classical male fragrances or barbershop, whatever, you know, soapy, clean, fresh, that sort of thing. Kind of got like a sweetness about it, but not like overly sweet or fruity. just really well blended. That's probably the best way to describe it, a sort of soapy cleanness out the shower kind of vibe. Non-offensive, so gym, office, all year round kind of smell. Yeah, I'd say a 7 out of 10. If you're being harsh, you could say, because the performance ain't great at 6.5, but it's an EDT. I don't know if this one's discontinued or not. I know that the original black bottle is, and when I've looked on like Amazon, eBay, the prices aren't worth what it is, especially for an EDT. So, in all honesty, again, there's like Jean Paul Gaultier EDT, Gucci EDT. There's EDTs behind me where the performance is still very good. So, be completely honest, I would say 6.5 out of 10. If it was like even 4, 5, 6 hours on the skin, then yeah, a 7. But the smell profile's decent. If you see it on offer, you know, I'd recommend trying it. It's not going to blow you, you know, out the water. It's nothing completely different or special, but it's a decent fragrance. Most people could wear it in different occasions, so that's where it gets the positive marks. Where is it? Roberto Cavalli. You don't really hear of this company anymore either. Apparently they made ridiculous amounts of fragrances back in the day, and I was just randomly bought one of them for my birthday. They used to be quite big years ago, but I don't hear of them anymore. Sad really that that happens with some companies, or they just, I think off the top of my head there was, and again going off on a side note, I think Harley Davidson, like the bike company, and even Bentley, Mercedes-Benz, they all have fragrances. So I think Harley Davidson discontinued, but that was one of the first fragrances I ever owned in the 90s. Anyone reading this, or watching this even, if they've ever smelt the Harley Davidson Blue, that was really nice. The performance wasn't great, and I think I only paid like a tenner for it, like 50ml, 100ml, but yeah, them sort of fragrances from the 90s that are discontinued, I kind of put them all together, the, you know, nostalgia and the fact that they were quite cheap and decent for what they were. It's a shame that you know, a lot of them ceased to be. Silver essence. Okay, right, move on to the fourth. I'll leave that one. Okay, I'll do that one. So basically I've got like 3 clones left and 2 originals. I'll do the originals because 2 of the clones I've already got. They're just different takes, so I'll do that at the end. It'll be a bit easier to wrap up. So YSL Myself EDP, I've done a review for this as the EDT. I also own the Y by YSL. Yeah, it's called Y. I'll be honest, a lot of the Eve Saint Laurent or YSL line, very similar. Mass appealing in the fact they're easy to wear. The reason why the EDT was, I think, well over a year ago, I did another sample review of that. For some reason, it was really popular. I think even more popular than the Y line, this Myself line. I think it's because it's more mass appealing and youngster kind of targeted. I didn't think much of the Myself EDT. This is the this is the La Parfum, so a little bit different, and it does smell a bit different. In terms of performance, where is it? Go back over my notes. 6 to 8 hours, so above average. Good performance. Considering most of the time performance is lacking with a lot of these like designer fragrances. Not all, but I'd say at least half or 2/3 of performance tends to be what lets them down, not the smell itself. So 3 sprays. So this is the most potent and radiant of the ones I've done so far. Just put that away. Very nice. Now, unlike the EDT, which from memory was just a whatever fragrance, this is a bit different. The opening, how I would describe it, and again, this is a bit of a niche, weird memory almost. It kind of has like a sweet syntheticness about it that if back in like the 90s or 2000s, the Paco Rabanne 1 millions, even some of the Armanis, they have that kind of top sweet note that catches you, that lingers, and that tends to be on EDTs, especially like the note that is the most pronounced, and that's what you remember. But straight away smelling this, I do think back to them. They're very sweet, but mass appealing fragrances. So much as I described before why this Myself line by YSL is very popular, is because of this sort of element, the sweetness, the fresh cleanness. It has a bit of strength to it. But I really like this. Like, again, the performance is 6 to 8 hour. I gave this an 8 out of 10, and I would say that's bang on, really, because it is quite different. Like, again, even though it has similarities and familiarity to me from those sort of like 90s, 2000s, mass appealing, 1 million by Paco Rabanne, even some of the Calvin Kleins, they just have that sort of enough about them to hook you that it's a bit different, hence why they were very popular at the time. And it's almost like YSL have a lot of flankers and fragrances that are, once you smelt one, you've kind of smelt them all of that line. I would say this is actually quite different to, I think I've smelt the EDT as well. The EDT and definitely, sorry, the EDT I have smelt and reviewed, but the EDP. But this is quite nice, and yeah, 8 out of 10. I won't, I don't need to say much more. It's mass appealing. It can be worn all year round, different environments. Better than the EDT for sure. Better right Le Parfum as well, because it does make a difference. Sometimes you have extract de parfums that do have that extra push and performance, which they're meant to, over an EDT, EDP and a cologne, but they also sometimes have a slightly different smell profile. Off the top of my head, that's the same with the Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum behind me. That is very different than the original Dior Fahrenheit EDT. So some people actually prefer, even though the performance isn't as good in the EDT, the smell profile. And in this instance, in terms of performance, this is probably going to be better than the EDT because it's 6 to 8 hour. And yeah, it's just a pleasant smell. It's like a bit of sweetness, almost like a sweet bubblegummy aspect, or a pear note or apple or something in there, but not overly synthetic, not overly sweet. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Surprised me, that one. I was just curious because I saw, a parfum of Myself. I've smelt the other ones before. Let's just finalise not liking the Myself line, but that, that one's that was a pleasant surprise. So where are that's a clone. Okay, so this is a classic one. I used to smell this one in a department store in Lakeside. I think it was either House of Fraser or Debenhams, one or the other. I think it was House of Fraser. They had all pretty much all the designer clothes, and they also had all the designer fragrances. They had the whole downstairs bit, pretty much beauty on one side, fragrance on the other. And whenever I'd go shopping there, like birthday time, Christmas time, one of the things I used to do, again, is kind of like, try not to laugh because it's nostalgia, even when I was younger and little, going through smelling all the fragrances. And this was one that I used to really like when I was younger. It's Hermes, Terre de Hermes, and it is the Parfum. So I would have been smelling back in the 90s or early 2000s the EDT version. This is the Parfum. Just jumping the gun, the performance isn't very good. One thing about this brand from memory is their note or their selling point or DNA tends to be, from memory, the use of oranges. Might be a bit wrong there, but I just remember a lot of their fragrances having that orangeness about them. Let's just see what I wrote for or took of the initial notes for this one. Yeah, 3 to 4 hours on my skin, which for a Parfum by Hermes, which is used to be very expensive. Obviously the price might be a bit down, but I still consider them a premium house. But yeah, it has a kind of the orange peelness off the top, which is nice. So it's sweet but a little bit sour. Has a kind of an effervescent note, like lemonade-y, sparkling orange kind of vibe about it. But that's pretty much what you get. Again, when you're younger and then when you're older, your smell and taste for certain things changes. I know for certain that my for what I like about fragrances, I tend to be quite varied. I don't just always like the same thing. Obviously, I have weak spots for dark, boozy, smoky, ambery ones with a bit of sweetness. But this is pure how I see it, as sort of subtle office, um, dressed up, gentlemanly kind of scent. Got an element of like the classic, you know, clean freshness about it, but it doesn't last. It should last longer, and it's quite linear. So I think in that instance, you would get bored of this. If you really love orange, then yeah. But it's kind of one dimensional. Bit of orange, bit of fizz, a little bit of like in the background, or the DNA of it is kind of that gentlemanly vibe. There's not much to say about this, in all honesty. The performance lets it down. What did I give it? I gave it a 7, but in all honesty, I'm going to revise that as a 6.5. Especially for the money, the fact it's a parfum and it's nothing special. Again, this used to be one of my favourites when I was younger. This would have been, though, smelling the EDT. This is a parfum. But yeah, it's nothing special. It is wearable, yeah, sure. But again, if you don't have that weakness for orange, I can't really recommend it. And again, even if you saw it on offer, there's so many other fragrances, even some that I've reviewed here, that I'd rate over it. So, okay. So we've got 2 clones that I'll briefly mention at the end. I'll try and knock these ones out. So this is a new one by Valentino. This is Yumio, Born in Roma, Purple Melancholia. So it's a mouthful, and it's an EDP. So this is a big line. I have got a clone of the Coral Fantasy, which is either the pink or the slightly pink red one. I bought my mum the green extravaganza for her birthday last year, which is obviously the green one. So this is quite a popular line for Valentino, hence why they've got so many different flankers. This is like a purpley black bottle. So where are the notes on this one? Yeah, no, that's the wrong one. That's Roberto Cavalli. Where is it? Okay, so 4 to 6 hours on the skin, this one. So average to bit below, because I always say 6 to 8 should be what they most are. Not all are though. Some are, even for EDP parfums, like with the Hermes. That's 3 hours, 4 hours, which isn't good, especially for the price. It does matter. It's different if you're buying a clone or a cheapie for 20-30 quid. When you're spending over 100-200 pound for these fragrances, that should be a given. The performance, I know some people will be like, smell amazing for an hour, but then it's like, okay, but that rose fragrance cost £1,000 or whatever, But people justify things and have their own takes on that. But there you go, not great atomizer. That's one thing I'm finding through smelling these, that I think personally, like, again, it's good to have fragrances with variety, but at the same time you do still veer towards your favourites, like what you prefer. And I find, again, a lot of these fragrances, just in general, when I smell them on other people, even ones I'm doing, they're nothing special, but when you do get something like the by Killian, or what is it, the Why Myself, it's refreshing when it changes how you feel about fragrances, because again, there's videos out there where they say, like, you know, you can get addicted to buying fragrances. I just thought I'd interject with this. So one nice thing about doing the sample reviews is that you're not spending ridiculous amounts of money committing to bottles and having bottles all over the house almost, you know, not just in your room. Like, I already have like almost 100 behind me, and I kind of made the decision going forward, like, use them up, restock the ones I like. At least half of them behind me I won't rebuy, and doing these sample reviews going forward, again, it can help people in deciding if it's even worth buying, yet alone sampling some of these. So just thought I'd put that out there, and we're almost finished. So this is very nice, again quite different actually to a lot of the Born in Roma line, which tend to be sweet. A lot of them are sweet actually. This isn't overly sweet, although it does have a sweetness about it. I don't want to just say this line's mass appealing, a bit like the Myself by Y line or Yves Saint Laurent. But yeah, it's pleasant. It's kind of like flowery, floral, bit of sweetness off the top, but not overstated. No citrus notes really that I can detect, at least. This I would describe as like in between fall and winter time. Like, it's not niche, or, you know, it can be considered all year round, but it's going kind of, it's got like a dark element about it. It might even have a bit of iris in it, something like that in there, but different enough. Again, how the bottle is purple, there might even be violet leaves or some kind of purple flower. That's the kind of vibe I get. So it's sort of a relaxing, chill kind of fragrance. I wouldn't say going out or, you know, gym. It's more like a chilling, day-to-day wear, office wear. Or when I say office, it doesn't just mean everybody works in an office, but, you know, that a workspace, a chill kind of fragrance. So I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. The performance isn't great, 4 to 6, but the fact that the smell is like just standard in terms of most people would be able to wear this, it's not offensive. Actually, I'm going to re-review it. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'll be in harsher but fairer, because the other ones got marked down based on this. Nothing special fragrance, but most people would wear this. Most people would be like, oh, that smells nice, or you smell nice. But it's not like, you know, beast mode or amazing performance. In terms of the pricing, you know, the whole Born in Roma line by Valentino even, it's quite affordable. I have a clone of one of them. I bought my mum the green one. Most of them smell quite nice. The yellow, the red, you know, the pink, the red. I've smelt most of them. And they're all pretty similar to this. Born in Roma, purple, melancholia. So yeah, floral, bit of sweetness. It's okay. 6.5 out of 10. And now we move on to, is that the last one? Yeah, the last one. I've got 2 clones, but I'll knock them out, because again, they're actually 2 that I bought bottles of. So yeah, they'll be in a separate dedicated review. So finishing on another premium house, expensive one, Bavulgri Le Tiger. I think it's French Bavulgri, or it sounds French to me. First ever, oh, actually, tell a lie. Years ago, now discontinued, but an excellent EDT. It was Bavulgri Homsui. It's spelled S-O umlaut, or, you know, accent over the O, I-U-R. It was a really nice, fresh sort of, if I could describe it, like Silver Mountain Water by Creed, that kind of effervescent, sort of metallic, fresh, clean nature. And they discontinued it, and I had bought that so many years ago now, and I kind of miss it. It was very good. So this is actually my second Bavulgri that I've ever smelt. I think I've smelt in terms of in like shops in the Aqua by Bavulgri and a few others, but I just can't remember what they were like. But yeah, so where are the notes on this one? Okay, so 4 to 5 hours performance. Is this a parfum? It's an EDP, so again, that kind of average to not great performance, especially for the price. Atomiser's not great on this. Let's try again. Yeah, you might not hear it, but it's barely coming out. That's not good. So yeah, don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so yeah, it's just like a lemony orange citrus off the top, or if you want to be specific, bergamot. You know, well, it's not overcomplicating it. You're saying that how it is, but I just find some reviews they go into detail on the notes, but it's almost like they're reading it off of a script rather than just, you know, actually talking from themselves, if that makes sense. Kind of what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, it's kind of got a bit of sweetness, a kind of at the background like aftershavey, classic Mal, backbone DNA, you know, sort of. Again, I don't like to say the terms, but again, in my opinion, this is nothing special. I know that this is reviewed really well online for some reason. It's just a whatever, in my opinion. It's just like a bit of citrus, bit of sparkly effervescent, bit of barbershoppy clean, fresh vibes, masculine vibes. But there's so many other fragrances like this. There's so many cheaper fragrances out there like this that are stronger with better performance that costs a lot less. So it's like, why does this get reviewed so well? Yeah, 6.5 out of 10 again. It's nice, it's pleasant. You can wear it different occasions, although it is more geared towards, I would say, summertime. Vulgary, Tiger. So yeah, it is what it is. That's just me being honest. Right, so the final two, and then we'll go over the scores and kind of finalise it, is Lattafa His Confession, which is a clone or take on the original Dior Homme Intense. I have a clone of Dior Homme. So as the iris note, again, I'm not having to spray this because I actually bought bottles of this. So without jumping the gun, ruining reviews, obviously I like this enough to buy a bottle. This one I already own a bottle of. This is French Avenue Liquid Brun, but this is the extrait, or like the stronger, newer version, the limited edition version. To cut a long story short, it is stronger by an extra hour or so in performance. But the problem with it is that it was already strong to begin with. It didn't really need to be stronger, in my opinion. And where it's stronger, it almost like overpowers some of the like the sweet and the nuances about it. It pushes it out more. It gives that strength on some notes, which then detract from others, in my opinion. So it's still like an 8 out of 10 fragrance. Obviously, I own the original, but I personally wouldn't recommend buying the limited edition version of Liquid Brun by French Avenue. Some people might prefer it, but the best way to describe it, in my opinion, it was already strong. Performance was good. The smell profile was good. By making it stronger, making it last that extra hour, giving it a bit more longevity for the first hour or two in terms of the sillage, it detracts from some of the subtleness about what makes it a good fragrance, in my opinion. So I prefer the original Liquid Brun, and as I say, Lattafa His Confession is a clone of Dior Homme Intense. So there'll be one separate review for obviously Lattafa His Confession, which I bought a bottle of. So let's go in order of my favourite to least, just to finalise this, and then they're all done, all 20 or 20 odd plus samples I've knocked out in 3 videos. So first one is Kilian, or by Kilian Smoking Hot, 9 out of 10. Then I would say the Why Myself Parfum, 8 out of 10. Then all of these are 6.5s out of 10, funnily enough. But if I was to put them in order, I'd probably go the Valentino, Born in Roma, Purple Melancholia, 6.5 out of 10. Then the Roberto Cavalli one, albeit it might be discontinued. I know that the black original Roberto Cavalli Yumio is discontinued. Can't pick it up. So Roberto Cavalli's Silver Essence, 6.5 out of 10. Then maybe the Kerosene one because it's a bit different. Walk the Sea, 6.5. Now these two, they're like overpriced for what they are. Maybe the Hermes up first because the Bavaria gets overrated. Why, I don't know. 6.5, and then finish with the Bavaria, probably one of the most expensive ones here, but also one of the most average in my opinion. Crap or not very good performance. 6.5 out of 10. And Breathe. So that's done. So knocked out probably 20 plus fragrances in 3 videos. Obviously, yes, the videos are long. I'm trying to interject a bit of personality. I'm trying to give an honest review. I'm also trying to, you know, get it done basically. Again, without getting all emotional about it. Some people knock a video out within a minute as a short, and they're not really talking about from themselves. They're just talking off of a script. They're talking off of probably another review that they've nicked online. They might do a little joke now and then. I'm just being me. I'm just being real. For people follow me or people find this video or other videos, the main goal is to be helpful, to help people save money. People know me or have seen the knowledge and experience for multiple years and multiple fragrances will know I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to save them money. I'm trying to give an honest review. I'm trying not to base my opinion off of others. So there we go. I have mentioned this sort of thing in the past. It gets to me sometimes because, again, I'm trying to be real, trying to be honest, trying to be helpful, but sometimes that gets muddled within, you know, the TikTok quick, in your face, repeating, regurgitating information that you can get from multiple other sources. It just gets to you after a while. Where I'm like Grandpa Simpson. I'm old. I'm old school. I try to be helpful and honest rather than just trying to regurgitate information, rip people off, or affiliated by companies. That's another thing that people forget. A lot of these channels and people, I've later found out, actually get paid by some of these companies to review products. It doesn't just happen in the fragrance world. It also happens with media, digital media, video games, and so on. So we'll finish there. Knocked out, as I say, multiple samples in 3 videos. Moving forward, I do the odd bottle now and then, which is like a 10-minute or if that or under. But these sort of sample fragrance videos, obviously, you know, it's hard to condense them without losing information like the performance, the radiance, the smell profile, all things that actually matter or should do to people who collect fragrances or people interested in fragrances. So we'll end that there. Signing out.